Hey everybody, I'm Duke Mason, and this is the 13th episode of Duke's Download, and the last episode of Pride Month. And I couldn't think of a better guest to join us today for the last episode of Pride Month than Trixie Mattel, aka Brian Michael Firkus, the amazing Trixie Mattel. And I don't know if he is on yet, but let me see if he is on yet. Thank you all for the support you've given me so far. It's been really awesome. And, I love that we've had some really eclectic guests. But Trixie Mattel is somebody who I admire so much and who, is just an all around amazing person in so many ways. So I'm really, really thrilled that she or he is joining us today. I'm just going to give it a second to see, give him a chance to come on. Oh, there he is. One moment. Request add. It's connecting.
Hello.
Hey there.
What's up? Hello.
Such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you. You know what I like about these? You can use all your filters. Like, look, here's some of my favorites. I love this like white stripes one.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. I love The Sims.
That is amazing. I
Yes,
didn't think you could do those.
I just I don't even know. I think I just get bored and put them on here. And then I also love this. I love this. This is like my favorite one. And then I think when you blink, it turns on and off.
It's incredible.
Isn't it great? It's just funny. There's also, listen, I couldn't be in, this is my one day off of getting in drag this week, so I really appreciate you letting me come out of drag.
Are you kidding? Of course.
But I could
Well, I think it's nice.
just do,
Okay, see, yeah, you can do drag without.
oh look, I could just do this. There's this Trixie makeup. There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's some really good Trixie ones. People are amazing how they do this stuff. I mean,
Well, I wanted to ask you. So when you're out of costume, I'm assuming it's Brian, right? So that's
Trixie's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, I have one of those drag names, like nobody's named Trixie, so it doesn't really, like in public. I mean, especially since most people might say most of my close friends say Trix, which doesn't really sound like it has a gender. And also, I've been doing drag so long, you can really call me anything. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Hello,
I'll call you
hello
Trix.
everyone in the chat. Yes, this mustache is real. Thank you. Normal people can slip their fingers under their mustache, right?
Well, how do you? I mean, facial hair. How is that a thing? How do you contend with that when you have to like?
Unfortunately, I've been doing drag. Well, fortunately, I've been doing drag for, let's see, it started when I was 18 and I'm 30 now, so that's 12 years, almost 13 years. And I have been in drag weekly for 12 years, so I've never even had the time. I don't even think I could grow a mustache, but I've never had the time. Because, some people can grow when we were like 21, I remember Kimchi, like we were like 21, 22, and we would do circuit parties working from like 10 p.m. to like 4:30 a.m. in full drag. And Kim would have to do like some of the drag queens do the orange first to cover up the beard. Kim was doing that at like 22 because she has really like dark, thick facial hair. And I've never had to do it, thank God. I mean, up until a few years ago, I didn't even have to shave every day because it's not very thick, so.
Yeah. I saw one of your videos where you said that you we're at a circuit party until 4:30 in the morning. You slept upright, with full garb, full makeup on and everything, and then woke up 4 hours later and went straight to a photo shoot.
Yeah, I think it was me. I think it was me, Kimchi, and Shea Coulee. We used to do this party in Chicago together, and I think we slept like vampires, and then, the photo shoot was in the morning, so it was just like, why go to sleep or why take it off? The things I've done. I almost flew in drag last year because I was doing the circuit tour for my moving parts now available on Netflix, but we were showing it in New York at noon, and I had to show it in Toronto in the evening. And it was like, well, I'm in drag. But then I actually ended up not doing it because I was like, there's no way I'm making it through immigration in a legitimate disguise. You know what I mean?
Really. It's like,
Yes, and I've had so many problems at immigration with drag because think about it. They stop you. You have a suitcase of disguises and cash.
well,
You
you could
look
have
like
been
a criminal.
imposter, you know, so
Totally.
Trixie Mattel. So
Yes, but I'm happy to be here out of drag. This is like my one day. What's funny is I've been on lockdown, but I'm still in drag like every other day. So I'm still
you're
dressed up
so
all
active
the
on
time.
social media and doing videos, and I was
Doing
gonna say,
videos,
yeah.
doing live streams, all kinds of stuff. And sometimes I have like a video I have to make in the morning and then a live stream at night. So then it's like I'm just sitting in my house in a wig because I don't want to take it off. You know.
You're literally, I think, I mean, like, obviously I was looking at all your stuff, and I was like, I think you're literally like a superhuman, like the most busy person on the planet. I mean, you're doing so much at one time that it's almost like overwhelming. Which is incredible. I mean, you're like literally, I mean, of course, we'll go through it, but I mean, like, obviously, first of all, the album, congratulations.
Thank
No,
you, thank you. Oh, I have it right. Well, it's over there. Mine's on the wall. Let me see if I can turn this and show it to you. Mine's hanging on the wall over. Let's see. See it right there.
oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
And
Congratulations.
then
Huge.
oh yeah. And then it came out. What's funny is it came out in I think what was it? Fans will probably know better than I would. I think it's February,
Hmm?
and it just charted this week. This week on Billboard, which is so weird because normally if an album doesn't chart the week it comes out, you're like I missed it. I I didn't make my mark. And it charted this week just because the vinyl came out and so many people buy vinyl. It was like a whole nother surge. So I got an email being like, you just charted it. My management was like, you're on Billboard. And I was like, why now? And then I was like, oh, because people really like buy vinyl. They do.
Well, and it's a beautiful album too. I mean, the album itself too. It's aesthetically
Thank you.
so. But no,
I was showing it on my live stream and I use a green screen and the album is like bright lemon yellow. So I keep trying to show it on my live stream and then it disappears. So then I'm holding nothing. But oh
no,
well.
it's gorgeous. And of course, the thing I wanted to say first of all is I love it's so funny because what you're I think 2 or 3 years older than me, and yet
Yeah, you're 92, right?
I'm 92, yeah, and you're 89.
Yep.
And yet your music taste, like the fact that you even know the Go-Go's and that like you're into the Go-Go's. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, but when I saw your post at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, I was like, that was just so amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean I love. You know why I'm about the same age as you? Were you in band, marching band, or anything?
No, I wasn't.
I was in a marching band in high school, and my teacher was a child of the '80s. So the teacher picks the music you play. So of course we were playing like Thriller, Eye of the Tiger, 25 or 64, like anything by the Go-Go's, Hey Mickey. We were playing like the hits of the '80s. So that was my like when I was young, finding out about the Go-Go's, and then through, when you're young and gay and you have this part of yourself that's not exactly masculine and you see something you're so used to the feminine part of yourself being suppressed and you watch somebody use their femininity in a very like aggressive way. You don't even realize why it's speaking to you because you're a teenager and you're too dumb. But at the time there was something like the Donnas were also big then. Remember the Donnas?
Yeah, of course.
The Donnas, of course, the Bangles, like so many girl bands. I didn't know why I was into girl bands, but I mean, obviously now I know. But and like I also learned guitar right around the time of like Avril Lavigne, Melissa Etheridge, Michelle Branch, like girls with guitars. Who else? Liz Phair. It was just a moment for girls with guitars too, which you have to admit in music, guitars are very much presented as like a male instrument. So when I see girls playing it, I was like, oh, now I'm into it. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
It was originally too macho, and then I saw girls playing it, and then I liked it.
Well, no, because like your musical taste is so eclectic, but it's fascinating. Like I saw that some of the influences that you talked about for the new album for Barbara were from Blondie to the Beach Boys.
Oh yeah, I love Blondie. Blondie was like
great song, by the way. I love. I mean, the whole album's great, but like that song in particular, I love. It's a great song.
Which one?
Malibu.
Oh yeah, I love Malibu. I love that song. I mean, I also like worship the ground that Fountains of Wayne like walks on. So like finding Fountains of Wayne when I was a teenager, and like obviously I heard Stacey's Mom, and then Fountains of Wayne was one of those bands that got big many albums in. So just when they got big, they had this whole discography to get into. versus a lot of times their debut album is when they get big. And they were so good. And Adam Schlesinger actually passed away of COVID at the beginning of lockdown, which was like, I remember when I used to work at the mall doing makeup, there was a girl I worked with, and when Whitney Houston died, I remember she saw it on the TVs at the mall, and she started crying. And I remember I'd never had a celebrity die and felt like affected. And when Adam Schlesinger died, I was like, oh my God, like, and of course he's like, you know, a little bit behind the scenes because he's a brilliant songwriter. So everybody in the music industry admires him, but like the average person wouldn't know him. But anyway, I love Fountains of Wayne and Malibu especially. You can tell I'm just like a glorified Fountains of Wayne impersonator because I like love their music. The way that they, same with, I mean, it's sort of like you can tell Fountains of Wayne grew up listening to the Beach Boys. Like the way it all marries to itself. And especially in the, like when I grew up the 90s, early 2000s, it was sort of like pop rock music had this big, like acoustic driven pop music had this big surge. So I was learning to play guitar right around the time where there happened to be a lot of guitar on the radio compared to now, you know.
Oh yeah,
Like think of like Green Day, like American Idiot, that kind of thing. Like, guitars were everywhere.
yeah. And now it's all electronic and pop, and like there's very little like you're right, very little actual instruments, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
But that's sort of what makes what you do so unusual is that, you know, I mean, you're such a multifaceted person. I mean, but you've got the fact that you're like, I love the video. Someone put up a video of you performing Vacation, doing an acoustic.
Oh, I know. Do you like these songs, or are they just so burned into your memory you don't even hear them anymore?
Yeah. No. I mean, I love the Go-Go's. Like, I mean, putting aside my personal connection, I love 80s music. I'm an 80s music, you know, fan. And so, you know, of course I'm a little biased, but I love the music. I love the music. And my mom, by the way, I should say, is a huge fan of yours as well.
Oh my God. Did you get to see the Broadway musical, Head Over Heels?
I did. Did you? Did you get to go see it?
Oh yeah. I went to see it. Well, obviously I love the Go-Go's, but also Peppermint was in it.
Of course.
And Peppermint, I believe, historically was the first trans woman to originate a role on Broadway, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was pretty iconic. And I love the Go-Go's, but I didn't know that was the story, and the book of it was also gonna be like amazing. So I was like stalking Peppermint for weeks afterward, being like, your show's really good. She's like, thank you. And like the next week I'm like, but your show's really good. And that was fun because I'm sure a lot of people that was their first like baptism into that type of music.
I think it was just, I mean, I think it was great. I think it was so sort of
amazing, and like
it was so crazy in a good way that I think it went over people's heads a little bit. Like, I mean, because it was so unusual, the fact that, you know, not only the fact that it was historic and then having a trans lead, but just the story. I think people were expecting it to be like a Go-Go's musical where it's the story of the band working their way, but it was like about as sort of, you know, far from that a jukebox musical as you could possibly.
Oh yeah. And some of the stuff that because you know, some musicals, and by the way, people in the chat are apparently into Broadway because everyone's like, talk about Broadway. I have a BFA in musical theater in case no one cares or knows. So I spent too many years of my life studying the history of musical theater. And a lot of times musicals do something iconic and they harp on it. Head Over Heels made so many big jumps but didn't even take time to brag about it. Like the fact that Bonnie Milligan's character is supposed to be the most beautiful woman in the land, and it's not, she's beautiful even though she's big. Right. It's just a fact that she's the prettiest, and then move on. And not even that, they made her the prettiest and also kind of a bitch because she's the prettiest. Whereas other musicals would make it, she's pretty even though she's plus size. And that musical didn't even give you a breath to say, yes, there's lesbians. It's like, okay, that's given information, move on.
Exactly. Totally.
Because that's the realer representation. I don't want a character to walk center stage and say, I'm gay.
Right.
I want their gayness or whatever to be like an afterthought because it's truly not that important all the time. A love story is a love story.
Well, I mean, that's sort of what it was. This crazy sort of beautiful, you know, other world where these things were just sort of, you know, an afterthought. You know, and so they created this pretty magical world, and I think, you know, it still has a life. I mean, they're doing a national tour.
Oh yeah, it's iconic. I'll go see it. My only thing was I couldn't see it twice, and I was devastated when I was like, my opportunity. But I mean,
go ahead. No, so I know you went to school for musical theater,
Yeah.
and so but I'll go back a little even before that. How did you even get interested in music? And I know you played the guitar at a young age. Was your father a folk or
My
art
grandpa was a country singer,
singer?
and he played the guitar, and I was always kind of interested. I was into singing, whatever. And then when I turned 13, my brother bought a guitar. My brother's 5 years older than me, so you have to think my brother bought a guitar to learn to play like Blink 182, because that's what was obviously. I mean, they're still flawless. I love Blink 182. But my brother wanted to learn to play music like that. He quit in a week. I mean, my brother couldn't even like clap on beat. And you have to think I'm from like the country where I spent most of my time by myself. And in the summers, I spent entire summers. I don't drive, and I live too far away from all my friends to see anyone.
I don't drive either.
Yeah, well, I used to drive, but then I quit. But I was never a great driver. So then I spent my whole summer one summer just learning to play this guitar, and I wanted my grandpa to teach me, but my grandpa was like, figure it out yourself. If you're really going to be a guitar player, you'll be able to figure it out, and if you can't figure it out, it's not for you. That's basically was his vibe. And then I just loved it. I just like loved it, and I'm so happy I learned when I was young, because it's just so in my brain. Now that I do stand up for a living, being able to marry stand up to guitar playing is like, thank God I just know this, because I think guitar would be a lot harder to learn as an adult. Because when you're like a 13 and your brain is all mushy, you can just take on information.
Totally. And how did the musical thing segue into doing drag? Like, at what point did that transition happen?
Well, I was doing drag. It was like, what, 18? And then by the time I was 21, I started going to the clubs and starting getting jobs in nightclubs. And then I did Drag Race. And after music school, because I went to school for music and musical theater, after music school, just the education of music left me really uninspired. And I probably didn't play my guitar for a couple of years. It just kind of ruined it. Studying music was the opposite of why I liked it. I get they're trying to make you a better musician, but it really just like sucked the magic out of it for me when there's evaluation. Same reason I'm not a wonderful Drag Race competitor. I mean, I did win, but like competition's not my favorite thing, because to me, I want to do whatever I want and then no one can say anything, versus do what you're told and then we evaluate you. Granted, that's what you sign up for when you go to school. I just, didn't know that. But I got my degree and then I was kind of done with it. And then once I had done Drag Race, I started doing stand-up more, and I started incorporating songs into my stand-up. And then it was like, duh, do this thing that no other drag queens do. Play your guitar. Because nobody does that.
Literally, you're the only one you do. I mean, it's kind of incredible when I think about it. I mean, the fact that you're doing something nobody else does, and the type of music that you're playing too is such a it's so removed. It's like we said earlier, it's mostly like electronic and pop. I mean,
And I love that type of music
you
too.
incorporate that into your music.
Yeah, like my favorite drag music is like Bob the Drag Queen, Alaska. I love the cunty drag queen song. I mean, I love that. But I don't know anything about it, so if I try to do it, I don't think it would be successful. And for me, for stand-up, like I grew up listening to Sarah Silverman or Adam Sandler, where people marry, or Bo Burnham, people who marry music into their stand-up sets, and it's not one and the other, it's together. Because stand-up is storytelling, and folk music is storytelling. They really go together. And I'm just lucky. I did this show where I had one song in it, and every night for a full summer, probably 50 performances, that was the one takeaway. People were like, I didn't even know you played the guitar. That was the best part of the show. And then I was like, whoa, I should put this in. And I like sincere shit too. I know I look crazy, but if I can get people to laugh, but also maybe be a little sad or a little disturbed, and I think music helps with that. You can make people laugh and cry on the same day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got several different tours going at once. I mean, obviously not right now given COVID, but you have the tour with Katya, which is its own thing. You've got the musical tour, and then you've got the stand-up tour. But there's three different tours.
Yeah, it's a lot. The Katya tour. I mean, what's funny is I don't want to say I'm lazy, but I think we were supposed to be in. We're supposed to be like if COVID didn't happen, we were supposed to be like in the middle of Australia or something right now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm not there and I'm just stuck at home, I am like, this is kind of nice. I like touring, but when you're in your house in your bed, you don't feel like going to work.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're lucky because we completed for my grown up tour with my band and stuff. We completed 26 of the 29 dates. So
Wow. Well, I think we're having a.
am I back?
Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
sorry, I'm back.
Back.
It's not like my tour stopped in the middle. We only missed the last like 3. And then everything got rescheduled. Nothing's been canceled. So it's like, thank God it's not like there's lost shows. They're just delayed.
Yeah, I saw the grown-up tour that the shows for the UK in January are still on. Is that right?
Yeah, we basically took the whole tour and just transplanted it to 2021. And you know, I mean, we haven't really, I mean, I don't want to tell our business, but like we haven't really had any cancellations. So I think most people coming to the shows are pretty understanding, and gay people are stubborn. So they're like, "Oh, I'm seeing the show. I bought the ticket, and you know, I'm seeing the goddamn show." Also, maybe people are just lazy. You know how you don't if you like let a gym membership go for 6 months because you're too lazy to call a number. Maybe I'm just banking on nobody canceling because they're too lazy. Maybe that's the truth.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Somebody used to ask, do you like cachaça? I love cachaça. Do you know what cachaça is?
I don't.
It's a liquor that they make in Brazil. It kind of tastes like cough syrup, but I have very foggy memories of drinking cachaça in Brazil.
Oh, I think I've heard of it. It's strong, right?
Yes. You know, I was watching some of the episodes of your show. You had Leslie Jordan pretty recently, huh?
I did, right? He and I have been friends for a year or two, and you know, and he's a super sweet person. And it was funny because right when I interviewed him, it was right after it had started blowing up. And at that time, he was at 1.5 million, which was insane. And now he's at almost 5 million followers, which is
I know. Isn't that crazy? And I had him in one of my music videos. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I gotta show you. I met him on. I think I met him on American Horror Story because I was on Roanoke, and then he was obviously on Roanoke, and I met him on that, and he was super nice, and I think he's good friends with Lady Bunny because they're both from Chattanooga. So
right.
He was so he's just such a gay that like seeing a person in a wig, he was so like, oh, thank God you're here. You know what I mean? Like now I can really be myself.
Completely. Oh yeah.
I don't think I have sound on, but look at him in one of my music videos. Hold on. He's so iconic.
I haven't seen this. Oh my God.
Oh, this is for Mama to we can put in the dress again. Look how little he is. Oh, he has a mustache because of my filter, but he's not supposed to have a mustache.
Oh my God.
It's hilarious. There's a part in the video where he looks at someone and says, "You old balls, listen up." He was so funny. And I don't want to tell his business, but like all day he was like, y'all told me I had to be here for 2 hours. And he was like so ready to go. And then once he said his lines, we're also in a room full of 100 extras that are young gay men. So he was like, finally, I'm leaving. And then he was like, well, maybe I'll stay. Like he wanted to leave until he realized it was like a room full of young guys. And he was like, I'll stick around.
He thought that he was like, oh yeah, this is fun. I want to stick around.
Yeah. It's fun watching him become the cultural messiah of the lockdown.
And it's so weird to think the way that that certain decisions, certain like things out of your control can change the course of your life. You know, if this hadn't happened, he wouldn't have had this massive renaissance, like next huge chapter of his career. So
yeah. Do you mind if I take a screenshot of us?
Of course.
Because I'm going to put on my story. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Fabulous. Because I found on these lives, people take their own screenshots, and then it's always us like mid, you know. Yeah, you need to give people a warning, and then you can like, you know, give a fantasy.
For the screen grab. I wanted to ask you about your book that's coming out. So
oh my God, can you believe it? The publisher just sent me and Katya both copies, and Katya's arrived and mine hasn't. So I'm still just, but she sent me a picture. I mean, it's pretty iconic.
You haven't held a physical copy yet, then?
No, Katya has hers, and I haven't gotten mine yet, but it is hilarious. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I never thought about writing a book. And so of all the things I've done, it's the craziest one because, I mean, whatever, I took writing classes in college and all that, but, you know, I think most people who are authors dream of becoming authors. And I had a few book offers in my lifetime. This was the third one, but this was the one that felt more correct because it was like, I don't know, I get nervous, but at least with Katya, I feel like there's a partnership, and she's a fool, and I'm a fool, and I feel like we can really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So a partnership like was a little more comforting. And this book is really psycho. It's basically like a how-to book on like how to survive life for young women. But the comedy of it is the advice is coming from, a 30 and a 38-year-old. She's 38. Everybody in the chat, don't forget she's 38 and still alive somehow. So
I cannot wait to read it. I cannot wait to read it.
it's very fun. It's very good. It's called Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood, and it comes out on July 15th, I believe. I keep
14th.
checking. I keep checking Amazon. What have you been doing? What have you been doing during your lockdown?
I think it was the 14th, from what I read. I'm going to pre-order it. I want to ask you a bit more about the album too, because like, where did the title come from, and what was sort of the impetus behind that? But like, what the starting point for you with that title?
Well, like most things, when it's a title, to me, it has to have a few like levels. And this one, on the surface level, it's like Katya and I used to say, call each other Barbara all the time. And that sort of, so there's parts about this album that's about our friendship. And then Barbara also is obviously the first name, and the original name of Barbie is Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because this record, to me, the look and the sound of it was more like my original idea for Trixie. So it was like, well, if Barbara's the original of Barbie, like, and I'm looking at my original plan for Trixie, which is making her more like California beach bunny, super tan, 60s blonde. That was more the original idea. So to Barbara was more of that. And then Barbara also translates to strange woman. And it was like, what's a stranger woman than a drag queen, So it worked on a few different levels. Also, Barbara was the most popular name in 1969, most popular female name. And that was sort of the year that I wanted the album to maybe sound like. So it had a few different reasons why it worked.
No, I mean it's perfect, and yeah, I mean it's fascinating to me that you've got the '60s element, you've got the '80s element, you've got the folk element, the electronic sort of contemporary music. And yet you blend it together and sort of turn it into your own genre. I don't even know what the genre name would be, but it's uniquely yours.
Yeah, it was easier with like two birds and one stone because those were like country folk records. And then this one, because it's a little more plugged in. I think a lot of the reviewers and publications called it surf rock,
Mm-hmm.
which some of it sounds surf rocky, I would say, but I don't even know what you call it. We're like men in wigs, so we're already like the Bible of what you're supposed to be doing is already out the window. Because drag queens are already offensive and gross, and half of us are criminals. We already don't follow rules in general, so
Sure, might as well break the rules in terms of musical, boundaries and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, we already, no matter what kind of music I make, it's gonna end up, when it gets written about, fall on a pride playlist, or this is drag queen music. Like, there's already so many buckets I'm gonna go in no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Even Two Birds, which was a full country album, it's a drag country album to people, which I don't even know what that means. But when you have a wig on, that's gonna be what people talk about anyway. So
Totally. No, I know I know I'm jumping around a lot, but I wanted to go back to when you were in Milwaukee and coming up and sort of in the scene there as a drag queen. How did the RuPaul thing even? How did that?
oh my god, somebody just said I joined, I saw the mustache, and now I'm leaving. How did the RuPaul thing happen? Well, what's funny is I was working as a makeup artist. So before I had Trixie Cosmetics, obviously, I worked for a bunch of makeup companies, and I was
Oh, we got
almost.
another thing. I mean, I don't know how you do it. How is it that in addition to all that, you have a cosmetics company?
You know how I do it? Post-it notes. I'm not kidding. My house is just full of like, I'll have a video idea, and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna do this video, and like stick it somewhere I'm gonna see it, and then I wake up. There's Post-its on the wall. There's Post-its in my office. There's Post-its in the kitchen. Because I need accountability for myself. Like, this seemed like a good idea. Write it down so that you eventually do it. I was working for like a few different makeup companies, and I was in my 5th year with a company, and I got fired, and I was devastated. I was so because I had finished college and I knew I was kind of like over music. And drag was fine, but it was like sustaining me, like, you know, I was making good money, but I wasn't like rich. And then I got fired, and I was like, well, you have all this free time. You might as well audition, even though this is a long shot, but you have no reason not to do it. You can't complain about your full-time job anymore. So like, get your camera and do it. And I worked with a friend, my friend Brandon, who's my full-time assistant now. And at the time he was like, don't you, he's like, because when you audition for Drag Race, they send you this paper saying all the stuff they want you to do. And he was like, don't worry about what you're supposed to do. Just treat it like it's your reality TV pilot. And like, don't worry about showing them what they want. Just be funny and be yourself and be the like the freak you are, because you also aren't like any other drag queen. So don't worry about trying to be a drag queen to them, because they don't, let them decide if you're a drag queen, whatever. And so I just did it. And I mean, I don't want to say it, but my Drag Race audition video checked very few of the boxes that they tell you have to do. And I only auditioned like the one time, and that's how I got on. So, and obviously this was what, 2014, 15? And I was so scared. I was 25. It was the first time being on TV. You know, my audition for Drag Race was probably the first time being on camera. It was my self-taped audition. Wow. And obviously that was so long ago, and being on TV the first time is scary. It all happened so fast, but somehow I've been able to keep doing it. Thank God. So.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, what a journey. And I mean, I admire you so much, and I think you're inspirational, because I mean, you built this empire, and also you provide a lot of comfort, and you make people feel like they can be who they are. And so I thought you'd be another perfect person to talk to during Pride Month, and I really appreciate you taking the time, seriously.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me. It's funny because it's been lockdown, and when you're a person who wears clown wigs and stuff for a living, on one hand, when I live in Hollywood and there's marches and fireworks and gunshots all day and helicopters, on one hand, you're like, I should shut the fuck up and this isn't the time for your bullshit. But on the other hand, there is a such thing as like escapism and creating content that gives people a break from their reality. So it's like my Pride Month series is me cooking with easy bake ovens, because I filmed it months ago. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want people to think I'm like disrespectful, but also I can't tell you how many people reach out and say like, your videos are free, A, and B, like regular. So people who've lost their jobs, people stuck at home, free regular content is a relief to them. And don't feel stupid just because your job is to be a clown. Like, be the clown people have always needed you to be, and don't feel dumb about it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I told Leslie Jordan when he was on, I said, you're really providing a service to people, that we need, as you said, escapism, something in the midst of all the darkness in this world, having people like you and Leslie that provide people with an outlet and something, to feel good about is really important. So,
Yeah.
So congratulations on everything, and I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for
talking to you.
Oh yeah, this has been great. I really appreciate. We should get together sometime when we can go back to gay bars.
I'm excited to. Let's do it. Hopefully, I mean, they just announced today that, of course, now they're closing back up.
I know the bars are closing back up. So I was trying to put together a fundraiser. Because I really like making ice cream, and I've made a lot of ice cream during lockdown, and I was like, I wonder if I do like a bake sale with ice cream. Maybe I do a really small, like, fan, socially distant meet and greet where, I've been doing fundraisers since lockdown. We're up to like $88,000 in fundraising from this room, playing video games, on Twitch, raising money. And some of it's my money, but most of it is people watching's money. And I wanted to maybe do like an ice cream fundraiser. And then I was like, well, now that they closed the bars, I probably shouldn't be inviting people to collect in one area. But
I have an idea for you. You should do a Trixie Mattel ice cream line. That would be kind of.
I've always wanted to. I'm knee deep in literature. I'm reading this book that's the science of how ice cream is made, and it's a little boring, but I want to make ice cream someday, and I want to make the best ice cream.
I think you would be. I think that would be genius. You could come up with the best names and the best flavors.
Well, yeah, I always have the ice cream trucks driving through my neighborhood, and I'm never impressed. Like, they don't have a good theme. They don't have good music. It doesn't look fun. The ice cream isn't quality even.
Oh my
And
God, genius.
I've always wanted to do an ice cream truck, and so I've been just really trying to learn as much as I can about making ice cream myself because I want to make the flavors myself and everything. I want people to go to the Trixie Mattel ice cream truck and be like, "Did you know she invented this? This is her recipe." I think that's lit.
That's amazing. It would be amazing. It'd be really
Yeah.
amazing. But yes, we will do it when things open. Get back to normal. If that ever happens, we'll get together.
Well,
So,
thank you for having me.
and of course, my mom sends her love. Thank you. And
Do you dab? I'm cool, so I'm young and I dab. So
I'm terrible at it, but
it's don't start now.
more. I'm not even gonna try.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.